Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm reviewing my very first Ninjago Crystallized set. This is 71771, the Crystal King Temple. It has 703 pieces, 6 minifigures, and it retails for $80 in the US. It released on August 1st in the US, but I imported all of these sets early from Europe because I knew I wouldn't have the time to build them in August. And I'm really glad I did because it means I can get reviews out in a more timely manner than I usually do. But I mean, I have to say right off the bat, this set is just incredible based on aesthetics alone. I'm obsessed with the pink crystal theme that LEGO is doing for all of these Ninjago sets this summer. Now, it is his temple, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the Crystal King minifigure first, even though I usually like to go from heroes building up to the worst villain. Now, I love this minifigure. It is just so incredible. It's great to see the classic four-armed Ninjago villain back. I really love that because I've been missing them. And I really like the color scheme with the dark bluish gray, the gold highlights, and then, of course, the transparent pink. But this minifigure doesn't actually have any transparent pink plastic at all, just the weapons and then some printing. I do like the back printing, although, of course, the second torso is not printed. That would have been great if LEGO had started doing that, but definitely not necessary. And I do really like the new trans pink katanas. I think it's really nice to get this katana piece in new colors, and this one is especially cool. So, the torso print is super detailed, but there's also this brand new mask mold that's like the Oni masks from Season 8 from Sons of Garmadon. But it is a different mold, and you kind of put like these cow horn pieces into there. There is slight color difference between the helmet and that piece, because the helmet is actually, sorry, I said dark bluish gray. This is actually a gunmetal gray, not dark bluish gray. So I stand corrected on that. But I really love the torso print because of all the gold detailing going throughout. The one print I don't like on here is the eyes. Because LEGO's tried to make like a glistening pattern, like they're trying to make it look like it's reflective, it just looks like sunglasses, and I feel like it really destroys the minifigure because now he just looks like he's chilling out and wearing sunglasses instead of like, so those don't look like actual eyes to me. But there is a face print underneath, and I guess spoiler alert if you don't want to know anything about the new season, but as we all suspected, the Crystal King is in fact the Overlord. That is a great face print. It's really nice to get, you know, like another proper Overlord face print because it's been a long time since we got the Golden Master in a set. And I'm going to go ahead and pop that off so you can see a closer look at the torso print, which is also very Overlord-y with the golden ribcage and everything. And then last thing I want to say about this minifigure is that there is this new, at least, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is new, like this new samurai helmet piece, which is a combination of LEGO's like kind of classic helmet that you can put goggles and visors on with a samurai helmet. And I really like this part because it does mean that you can like lift up the mask and it doesn't just stay static. There's only one other villain minifigure in this set, the Vengestone Guard, and this one does have a lot of trans pink plastic, and it looks awesome. So we have the right leg, it's our left, but it's his right. Both arms, there's a new shoulder armor piece, and then of course that amazing new dual molded headpiece that just looks incredible. I really like the color scheme on these guys. I love transparent LEGO pieces in general, but like the transparent pink and the dark bluish gray, it's a really nice combination. I really like that new rocky shoulder armor piece. And then this head, it's so intricate and incredible. And he does have a new mold for the sword as well. That crystal blade piece is used all over this set, all over most of these sets. And it's also, you know, pretty nice. And it is 3D, like it is like properly textured and everything. But this headpiece, it does not fit over a minifigure head. It just goes straight onto the neck. But yeah, it's really, really awesome. And then lastly, there's a closer look at the torso print and the back print. And this guy isn't a minifigure, but you do have this little dragon, and I'm actually not going to spin that around because I think it's going to fall. This is like the only side build in this set, so I figured I would throw it in with the figures. You have one sticker on top. You've got like that superhero posing piece used to create a bend in its middle, which is interesting. Tiny little feet, a little tail, and then a couple of wings. You can move the wings, you can move the tail and the body if you want, but there's not a ton of articulation, and honestly, this thing's like cute, but I could have done without it. It's just like very fragile and you can't really do anything with it. Here's Zane for 2022. I believe all of these suits are new. Like, they have to be, all of these prints for the ninja. But they seem very generic to me. And I mean, that's fine, you know, like going back to basics, like cool. But they just don't really seem very exciting to me. But I mean, there are exciting ninja minifigures in the other sets, the vehicle sets, which I will not be reviewing in full. But what's really disappointing to me is that they still have the same old faces. Like, this is the end of Ninjago. Like, they've announced that for 2023, either it's going to be a reboot or an entirely new show. But, like, this is the end of the line for now, and we still can't get new face prints. I mean, they've been using these since 2018, and this face is just so out of character for Zane. Zane is never, like, angrily screaming like that, and he doesn't even have an alternate face. So I really think that this was the time to shell out for, you know, updated face prints, and I think it's a shame that LEGO did not do that. I think I like Jay's minifigure the best out of these four ninja, just because I like the dark blue a lot. I'm glad his hood is dark blue. I think it looks very nice. I think it'd be a lot more boring if it was regular blue with the dark blue headband. But yeah, I mean, I always like Jay minifigures because I do like blue, like more and more just as a color in general. These heads are really sticking. But yeah, I feel like he always has a nice balance between colors on his minifigures. Here's Kai. I also like the balance of color on him because the dark red I think is really popping on the arms and everything. And I mean, like, all of these guys have great print detailing on the torso and legs. I just don't think they're very exciting. And honestly, like, to me, they just kind of look like a bunch of other ninja minifigures. Like, if you put these in a legacy set and told me that these were legacy minifigures, I would probably believe you. And lastly, here's Cole. I really do not like this minifigure very much. I haven't really liked any of Cole's minifigures ever since that reboot 4 years ago, because I hate the orange. I really do not like the orange as an accent color for him. Yeah, so I just can't really get behind that. I think that it just kind of ruins the look of his minifigure. Like, I do not like the orange and black color scheme. It's never worked for me, and so unfortunately, I have not liked most of Cole's costumes since they made that switch. So here is the Crystal King's Temple. Now, this set is really interesting to me because it's made up of two completely separate sections, which isn't normal for a LEGO set. Usually there's some way of connecting like large halves of structures together, but not in this set. You have this L-shaped staircase with some traps, and that just moves to the side, and then you're left with one large structure containing the Crystal King's throne. Now, that structure is really tall. It like barely fits in frame, so I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in so I can show you guys all the details on it, but we're actually going to start with the staircase just because it comes first chronologically. So this structure consists of a long staircase up to one of the golden weapons in front, and then some floating platforms to the the third golden weapon, and the last one is right below the Crystal King's throne. So this whole build is weird to me because it's so static. Like, I would kind of expect this to be hinged in the middle or something, or for it to move in some way, but it really doesn't. It's just kind of permanently stuck as this L-shaped thing. And I mean, that's not necessarily bad. It's just like, I don't know. I just kind of expected it to do something more. Because it's really awkward. It's just like awkward to carry. It like, you can see it flexing because it's really heavy back here. So yeah, I don't love it. Like, I mean, I think it looks great. I think it plays well. But I just wish that it was kind of like easier to change the layout of this set. So the ninjas start their journey down here, and this staircase, it's not built up a ton. There's just like a little bit of studs on the side construction, but it looks pretty good. I am kind of missing like one step, like another step here I think would have been perfect. And there's not really a trap up here, but there is a blade sticking out. So I guess as you try to go up, you could get cut by the blade. I like how these are poking out everywhere. But the objective here is to get the shurikens of ice. So you can just go up the stairs, dodge the blade, and then grab the shurikens off of this like little holder. Sorry about hitting the camera there. I really like the new shuriken of ice mold. I don't like most of the other molds for the new golden weapons. But I really like the shuriken ones because when I heard that they were making a new mold, I was kind of confused on how they could improve like the already existing one, because the already existing one is pretty great, but I really like these. I think that this looks awesome. And they're much larger than the old ones, so it does differentiate them quite a bit. But anyway, after you get the shurikens of ice, you can have, or I guess at the same time, you could have Jay coming up the side here and going up towards this temple. Now this staircase, you can already see it's moving a little bit because there is a feature there. This staircase I think is built up again very nicely. I like the cracked rock detailing up there, so you can have it, and of course I like the exposed studs. I don't like it when staircases are just smooth. I want to be able to pose figures on them. So you can have Jade going all the way up onto this step, and as you can see, it's moving quite a bit. It does swing around a lot, but the idea here is that you pull this lever, you push it down, and then the minifigure, I guess, like gets knocked off because the staircase moves to the side. Yeah, you can see that feature doesn't work very well. I mean, I did have him on a stud, and he should just be on the tile, but I don't think that this is all that great. Like, it's just, okay, cool, like they fall, like I don't know, like LEGO's done a lot of staircase features, and this one I think just has too many moving parts. Like there's this whole thing with like the little button, and then this is always flopping around, and like it often gets knocked out of alignment even when you're not trying to knock it out of alignment. And so I feel like it would have been better if LEGO just made the whole staircase like collapse down here instead of just like this one little part moving out of the way. Down at the base, you do have a large crystal piece. This is also a new mold, and it is also really cool. I really like this piece as well. These are very, very like textured, like they have a lot of depth. But it's not like it can really move anywhere. Like you can move it up and down a little bit, but it's not like it could come up and cut the person. But it's still dangerous because, as you can see, there's a little lever over there. So once Jay is almost at the golden weapons, or the nunchucks of lightning or whatever, he can get pushed out of the way by this lever. And I'm scared to push it with too much force because this whole thing doesn't feel like super strong. It is held in place with Technic pins, like this entire kind of like floating temple area. But yeah, I don't know. This feature, it works well, but it's just another one where it's like, it's very obvious because the lever is always sliding in and out. And I mean, like, that doesn't really matter because if a play feature works, it doesn't really matter how obvious it is. But yeah, I just feel like there could be something more exciting here. Like, I want, like, a trapdoor or something. Like, I want falling staircases and trapdoors. I don't want, like, little pushes and, like, floppy stairs. The temple itself does have some nice build techniques. I love the use of these curved tiles to create this, you know, like, kind of aesthetic. And then we do have a couple of stickers here. Those look good. And then, of course, the transparent pink. And here are the new nunchucks of lightning. You can just pull them out of this Technic piece. And I don't like these either. I think that this new dragon hilt piece with like the bar coming out of either end, I don't like it. I like what they were doing with like the other dragon hilt piece, you know, like that you could put swords into and just connecting those to a chain and stuff. I liked that a lot better because this I think just looks a little bit awkward. And around the sides, you can see that this temple area is nicely built up. I really like the use of these rock pieces. Actually, making those in transparent pink would have been really awesome as well, but I mean, they still look great in dark bluish gray. And then you have another one of those smaller crystal blades sticking out of the back. And then here is how that's constructed. Again, it's just kind of levitating on some Technic lift arms that are plugged into the base right there. And then finally, for the last golden weapon in this section, you can have Kai run up onto these floating platforms, which actually spin around, which I think is just really awesome. Like, I really like that feature. And then this blade will come up. All you need to do is hit this little trigger button, and it'll come up and it'll try to slice Kai as he jumps for the Sword of Fire. So I think that that is a really... Like, this is probably like my favorite area of the set besides the throne. But in terms of play features, I think that this is my favorite area because the way that these platforms spin around, it's very natural, but they don't go a full 360 degrees. So it's not like they're always spinning around crazily, and it's very easy. Again, like with two hands, it's very easy to like be spinning them and to have this sword like chopping up and down at the same time. So I'm very glad to see that. This platform does have a little bit more detail than the smaller one, and this is the new Sword of Fire piece, which I also do not like. It just looks so cartoony and stylized, and it looks nothing like the Sword of Fire in the show. I mean, they're going to reforge the golden weapons this season, I think, so maybe this is what the new one looks like. But to me, like, the old ones still look like the golden weapons from season 1, and this one just looks nothing like the golden weapon from season 1, and I don't really like it. I also feel like it's missing a proper handle. It shouldn't just be, like, grabbed from, like, that little stick end. And then we come to the levitating throne of the Crystal King. So this is more of like the main temple area. So we're going to go ahead and start at the base because I think that there's actually some really exciting things that LEGO has done here. First of all, this entire thing is floating on transparent pink Technic lift arms. This is like one of the greatest things I've ever seen LEGO do. Because it just sells the illusion so well. Like, it'd be fine if these were black, like the one in the smaller set, you know, like, or in the smaller section. Like, that definitely works. But putting them in pink just makes it look so much more powerful. You know, like, the magic of the Crystal King is really holding this thing up. And I think it's really awesome that LEGO recolored these pieces just for this set, because I love it. I think that they look fantastic. You have some seaweed and some just like tree roots and stuff growing down, as well as a stickered like Overlord logo. And then down at the base, you have another one of those crystal blades. A lot of studs down here, which I think makes sense because you want it to look rough and rocky. And there's a lot of these triangle pieces scattered around the entire set, which I think work really well as little jewels. At the back, you just have more of like those jewel sections, but there's not as much root detailing. But that pretty much does it for this section. There's not like anything that you can put down there. So, I mean, that is like a little bit of wasted space. Like, it would have been cool if there was another trap or like a little armory with some weapons down there. But I like it for what it is. And I just really like those lift arms. Coming up to the middle section, we find our fourth and final golden weapon, the Scythe of Quakes. And this one I do like. I think that this mold looks pretty cool. It's well detailed, but I don't think it looks super cartoony like the Sword of Fire. Again, my biggest complaint is just that I think that it should have a proper handle. Like, this is a scythe. I feel like it just needs to be a little bit taller, but that's not hard. You can just put your own piece down onto there for that. But yeah, so I think that this little area, like framing the scythe, looks excellent. I really like these banners that are kind of like draping down around it. We have more crystal blades over there. But other than that, it's fairly plain. I mean, LEGO could have scattered like some more crystal stuff back here, but it's not a huge deal. There is a little jumper here. I don't really know what that's for. I guess you could put like the other weapons and stuff in there, or you could just position a minifigure on it. But you do have a little staircase in the corner that leads up to the throne. And that's a pretty nice detail, because stairs in a set of this size, it's not something you see often, and it's not something that's super important. But of course, the big thing here is that floating prison, which this, I think, is my favorite part of the set. And then the floating platforms are second. Or wait, the throne. I don't know, but this is one of my favorite parts of the set. It's just epic. These rock pieces have been recolored into transparent pink, and they look excellent in that color. I love them in this color. Again, I really like transparent LEGO pieces in general, but these rocks in this color, it's just so pretty, and I love how it's just floating on these chains. Like, having it like bob around and stuff, it's just so much fun, and it really, like, if you put a minifigure in it, it will really make them feel like they're in danger, because again, they're only being held up by like the slightest force. So you can actually put them in upside down by connecting them to the studs on top, because this whole thing is built upside down. And then there you go. And then Zane can be hanging in there. And that is just so perfect. I really, really love that. And I love the way that the designer built it. And finally, we make our way up to the throne of the Crystal King. And this is where the set really shines, because you're just hit in the face with all of that beautiful pink crystal. You've got the smaller blades shooting off of the sides. They look really good. You have the throne itself has crystal shooting out the top, and then you have the large blades at the back. And the large blades are like more of a pale color, you'll notice, because I just think like the plastic's thinner, so it doesn't kind of hold as much color. But I still think that they look great. And I really love this structure up here. It's built with upside down lampposts, and everything is like angled in and then clipped onto like the top and the bottom. And you have a purple Sensei Wu hat forming the centerpiece, as well as more of those curved tiles to just, you know, round out the aesthetic, and then one of those black Nexonite spire pieces as the topper. That was a pleasure to build, and I just think it looks fantastic when it's complete. Like, I really love all of the aesthetics up here. And I mean, that's just a thing with all of these new Ninjago sets. I love all of like the spiky crystalness of everything. The throne itself, it is pretty elaborate. It's not overly elaborate, but it has enough detail. You've got the Overlord's like rib cage style spikes here. And then, like I said, you have the crystal. So kind of like classic Overlord and then new Overlord. And then you've got that sticker, and you can recline this back a little bit, which is good when you're putting a figure this big into the throne. You have 4 studs for him, and then he does get some nice plushy armrests, as well as some bar connections down here. I mean, you could clip stuff to them, but I think that they're just supposed to be there for show. But yeah, you do have to recline the throne a little bit just because of how bulky the helmet and his shoulder armor is. But I also like that you have 2 jumpers in front, because then you can have someone coming to him, you know, like, you know, when you seek an audience with the king, that's kind of what this feels like. You're brought before the king, and you're a step lower than he is. So you're really forced to feel small in front of him. And I think that that is just perfect. I think that that works really well. And other than that, there's not really any detail here. There's just the end of the staircase from below, and there's just some rocks and stuff. But I think that this area of the set is really nice, and I do like it quite a bit. So there is one final look at the completed temple. And again, because the sections are separate, you can really change the depth of this thing, because you can pull like the stairs forward and you can push like the actual temple part out. So I do like that you can play around with it in that way. There are some great extra pieces in this set, from the weapons and then like little detailing parts to all of these extra golden weapons, because these all come together in like this gold weapons pack. LEGO's been doing a lot of weapons packs lately, and so you have duplicates of the shurikens, the sword, and the scythe. Unfortunately, none of those dragon head pieces, but you do have 2 of these samurai horns as well. So that's really awesome, because it gives you quite a few extra weapons in every set. Here's the box for this set. It's that typical like big $70 vertical box. And I really, really love the colors, obviously with the pink like crystal explosion in the corner, and then just like the dark purple skies and the gold background. It's all very pretty. And then you have that Lloyd logo with the dragons in the corner, which looks very deluxe. This is the European box, so there's no piece count on it. And then on top you have the character names. And then at the back, you've just got some more shots of the temple. The instruction manual is hideous. I hate how like zoomed out this is, but hey, this like actually gives you a nice look at what you can do with the 2 halves of the temple, besides just putting one in front of the other. And at the back, you do have an ad for the other crystallized sets. And I really like this, because usually they aren't shown all in the box together. Usually they're out of box, but that's pretty nice. But there's no ads for anything else. I actually really like this set overall. I do think that some of the traps could have been thought up better. I think that the staircase trap, honestly, actually, I think that whole section, it looks really good, but I just don't like the traps over there. I like everything over to the right a lot more. There aren't really any traps on like the Overlord's throne section. But it doesn't really need that. But over here, like, I mean, I love the throne, I love the floating prison, and I love the floating platforms. I kind of wish that we had more of that. Like, if that side was more floating rock than staircase, I think I'd like it a little bit more. But let's talk about value here. The set is $80. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more I'm okay with that price. $80, 703 pieces, 6 minifigures. It seems a little bit steep. But I think that you're getting your money's worth. Like, this is a big set. Like, this is a good size set. There's a decent amount of play to be had here, but also there's not really an interior per se. And that's one thing that surprised me about the set when it was revealed. A lot of the times with Ninjago temples, you expect there to be some kind of interior and a lot of play inside something. And that's not the case here. There's only really 2 rooms here, like the throne room and then the scythe room. And both of them are fairly empty. Like, there's just the throne in one and the scythe in the other. So it's those like it's kind of like the lack of detail in stuff like the room with the scythe that makes me feel like it's not an $80 set. But I don't think you're going to be mad if you pay $80 for it. 70 would obviously be better, but I don't think 80 is insane. And if you really like the set, then I think it's worth the money. So let me know what you guys think about this set in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.